If they do that, they're going to be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Wilson! Oh! And we are tied!
Let's go!
Call them five slamma jamma.
And I don't ever let them forget where we come from.
Getting those phones out. Report me acting ignorant.
Zion Kris got his way through, and he may go! Kris is in! Houston leads out of nowhere!
Seventh heaven for Houston. The Cougars advance to their seventh Final Four.
Go Cougs! Let's go! It's so good! The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars!
Welcome in on Wednesday night edition of Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family. A big thank you to tonight's primary sponsor, NLRC, and Steve Saxenian. Big shout out to our secondary sponsor, 2 and Star Pizza. Houston, we're coming off a 79-70 victory for the 10th ranked Houston Cougars. A good bounce back win following their loss to the Texas Tech Red Raiders this past Saturday. Now, it wasn't clean. It wasn't the prettiest win, but ultimately what matters is that Houston came out on top, and big performances from a couple of the freshmen in Kingston Flemings and Chris Nack, and also Emmanuel Sharp. Looking at the final stats of this game, they gave Flemings as the final 2 points from the free throw line. Chris, he finishes with 27 points officially, 9 for 9 on his free throws, 2 for 3 from behind the arc, had 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, but all 4 of those turnovers came in the first half, so he did a much better job of protecting the ball in the second half. And like I mentioned, Emmanuel Sharp, 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting. He was also perfect from the free throw line. He was 5 for 5. And Milos Uzan got him in double figures as well with 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Chris Sinek had 8 points and 14 rebounds for the Houston Cougars. That is a new career high for the freshman. Let's welcome into the show Chris, Dayon. How are y'all doing? And what y'all think of this performance by the Houston Cougars?
It was ugly, but it's a win. As people are commenting so far, JoJo Tugler, as one of my buddies texted me, had a 0-0 tonight. He got in foul trouble early, didn't do anything productive for the team. Sacco only had 1 rebound. He and JoJo combined for 8 fouls. Still a win, though. So the guards carried him. Ugly road win, but it's a win. Could be weather related, whatever. It's a win. On to the next.
Good bounce back win. Of course, none of this early regular season game, so still some things to clean up. But good bounce back win. Good to see how Chris dominated on the boards. Like it seemed like he stashed every rebound, especially in that first half. Like he finished with like 7 or 8 in the first half. And but I think Kingston played really well. Of course, he was the spotlight, but Emmanuel did too. I think both of those two were the catalyst tonight. And Milos knocked down a couple shots here and there, but he did a good job playmaking and making plays. So I think this all of our guards played well, led by Casey and Emmanuel.
Chris, you mentioned JoJo Tugler and the what was the phrase he said? The 0-0 performance, but kind of a recurring theme. Especially with both Sacco and Tugler in this game, but foul trouble, the story for the two of them. And for JoJo, this was one of those games where, I mean, he only played 10 minutes. He couldn't stay on the court because of his foul trouble.
And a couple of the fouls were over aggressive. He was awkward. He was clumsy, falling into TCU players. Those kind of fouls seem to be fouls he can avoid. He should be able to clean those up. Earlier in the season, there was loose ball fouls, going for rebounds and crashing over guys like that. But lately, he's taking himself out of the game. And he's got to, we all know this, fans know this. Fans who watch the team long enough know how important JoJo is to the team's long-term success. But I'm not going to dwell on it. It's January 28th. Get out of his system now and keep on moving.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the fouls did kind of plague him. And then as the game went on, I think just that lineup with Chris at the 5 and 4 guards really helped spread the floor for Kingston and Milos and Emmanuel. And I think that also plays something to do with him staying on the bench a little bit longer than he normally would, because Kris was also getting every rebound and contesting a lot of shots and just playing really well. So, but definitely got to limit those fouls though, for sure.
And it was good to see the guards, finally get rebounds in the second half. Kingston, Milos. I think Chase McCarty's injury kind of disrupted plans as well, rotation wise, him going out. So that didn't help either, but it's a win. It wasn't pretty, things to improve on. But hey, the travel issue, playing in Lubbock on Saturday, staying overnight, getting back here a day later than usual, then going back up on the road to TCU, then with the weather up there in Fort Worth and all the problems up there with the ice and the impact there, it's a win. Next. I mean, that's everyone is upset or concerned maybe about how it looked and guys didn't play well. That's a win. He's
Thank you.
not sure how serious the injury was. He went back in the game, but his thumb was
For a
wrapped.
second.
You all saw that for sure.
Yeah. I thought you were going to quote Bill Belichick there for a second, Chris. I thought you were about to say we're on to Cincinnati because that's their next game Saturday morning. That's an 11 a.m. tip-off from the Fertitta Center. I do want to bring up this comment from Hunter, just posted on YouTube. He brings up a great point in terms of the way this game was officiated, specifically with Tugler and Sacco, and that's kind of the worst nightmare for U of H because we've seen them. Granted, this is a team that's 8-2 overall and 6-1 in conference play. When they have been really vulnerable has been when JoJo Tugler fouls out and gets in foul trouble for an extended period of time, and then Houston's kind of has to figure it out. And in that loss against Texas Tech, you really saw their defense dip when he wasn't on the floor, and against those high caliber teams, which we talked about it last post game show, right? Obviously they're gonna finish this regular season strong and whatever happens in the Big 12 tournament. But this is about, the big one. That's the main goal for Houston and in the NCAA tournament, one and done, like you said it multiple times in the past, Chris. But could be an area where Houston's shown they're very susceptible. And in that one and done scenario, it very well could be the kind of Achilles heel of this team.
Yes, but JoJo's got to be consistent. The last two games, prior to the last two games, he had avoided the foul trouble, and the team was playing well. Now these last two games, he went back to the foul trouble, early foul trouble, and taking himself out of games on his own. Those are his fouls. That's his fault. He has to be better. And Sacco is not aggressive. Coach Sampson said that he's not aggressive consistently. Coach Sampson said that in media session with us, that if he has to be the one to get Sacco going, that's a problem. He's got to do that himself. He has to be self-motivated. He has to be a Cougar enough to have that drive himself to be productive and know what he has to do to stay on the floor. He has to figure that out. But I'm not going to, it's frustrating to see JoJo can be better. Too many times thus far this season, he has not looked like a junior. He still has time to correct it and figure it out. But these last two games, tonight was his worst game as a Cougar. Flush it, move on. There's nothing else we could say that he doesn't already. So he's got to figure it out and do better starting on Saturday.
Well, on that note, let's take a very brief moment to pause and thank once again our sponsors for this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, beginning with Steve Saxenian, who is the primary sponsor of not only this edition of LRC, but each and every single post-game show after every single men's basketball game for the duration of the regular season. So big thank you to Steve Saxenian, and also a big thank you to today's secondary sponsor in Star Pizza. With multiple locations throughout the Houston area, Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure you check them out Tuesdays and Fridays during lunchtime for their all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, and also check out Follow them on social media. It's Star Pizza HOU on X, Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram. They have daily specials, and they also have happy hour specials as well. So follow them on social medias to know all of their different treats for the day. It changes daily, and like I said, they have consistent all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, who both Kris and I can attest. It is a very,
Indeed.
very good buffet you will enjoy at any one of their locations. And make sure you tell them that you heard about them here on Let's Rage Coogs. Right on cue. We got a repost from Hoop and Holler Houston. So big thanks. Crabtree's comment. A win is a win. It's only January. I thought this team took a turn against West Virginia and Arizona State, but took steps back these last two. Conference road games are hard. Take the win and get better. That's a great analysis of this game and really of the past two games.
There has been some slippage defensively. There were some more breakdowns on defense tonight, and there were a lot of breakdowns defensively in the first half Saturday against Texas Tech. They're 1-1. I mean, you take the road wins where you can get them. And I think someone commented moments ago about media and fans being spoiled. 16 straight road wins in the Big 12. Like Coach said Saturday, who does that? Okay, 16 straight road wins is an anomaly in the Big 12. Ironically, they played better Saturday than they did tonight, but they won tonight. Move on. Win. Dan, I think, agrees with me and Andy and everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if they play ugly in the tournament and win by 1 point and give us heart attacks 6 straight times. As long as that 6th straight time on Monday night, we're shaking our heads, celebrating. Damn, that was ugly. How did they win that game? Who the hell cares? They won.
Yeah. And I think for I mean, it's good to have these type of games early in the year. Just some of the mistakes that they made down the stretch to close out the game. There's certain things that we want to get cleaned up before we get to tournament time, to Chris's point. And so, I mean, it wasn't the prettiest win, but they don't check the scoreboard and say pretty win. And so it was a lot of good things to take away, though, from what I saw just watching the game. I think a lot of different lineups, but the main thing is Kingston. The way he plays in a really good rhythm, doesn't force any shots. I think he really does a good job of reacting to the defense to be able to take a good shot and what's available or making the right play. And then the way Emmanuel was able to make plays off the dribbles. I
Yes.
think that's the extra element to his game that he's been really working on and adding well to him this year and making him, which just look like he's going to be a first team all conference player in his senior year. He's been stepping up, but he can't foul out either.
Right. That's it. Let's talk about Emmanuel's fouls. He has some
Yeah,
bad
he
ones as
can't
well
foul out
tonight.
either.
Yeah. So, I mean, we be critical of JoJo, for sure. But Emmanuel, some of his fouls tonight, he can't have those either. How important he is to this team's success. He had it going in that first half with his offense. Picked up some bad fouls. I like the adjustment Coach and or Kingston did, but not having the pick and rolls come up high, because that was just a automatic double. They're trapping that every time in the first half. Second half was more one-on-one, keeping Kingston in the middle of the floor, and he just he ate a lot in second, and that's good. Makes the adjustment. And I understand Mr. Beck Texaco is a loyal supporter, and he's right to a point. We could say this Saturday against Cincinnati, another weaker opponent. The Cougs know they have to play better. They know that. That's more important than us saying it. Because I'd be much more concerned if we talked to JoJo off the record, if we were up in Fort Worth tonight, and JoJo told us, I played great. I thought I did a great job. He's not going to say that. He knows he stunk tonight. And he knows he has to be better and how important he is to this team's success. Now he has to do that and do better starting this Saturday morning against Cincinnati. Because if he stinks again, we're going to say so again on the next edition of Let's Rage Coogs. But I'm not going to dwell on It's a win. And there are things that we can pick at and for areas of improvement, starting with JoJo. Still won the game on the road. TCU's record is bad, but TCU this year is showing consistently they just can get over the hump.
Yeah.
They battled Michigan. They should have beat Kansas. They could have beat BYU, but they're doing just enough wrong to lose. If it's missed free throws or turnover late, whatever. Would we rather you talk about the Cougs that way? They're finding ways to lose, or they're finding ways to win?
Well, Chris, to your point about TCU and them finding ways to lose, I think it was epitomized there at the end when they had a chance to. It was 77-70. It was already an uphill battle, right? With a handful of seconds left on the clock, but they don't even get a shot out. Turn it over, and it ices the game completely for Houston. So that, like, great point in terms of how their inability to execute late down the stretch, whereas Houston. And I feel like we've touched on a lot of negatives about this game, specifically when it comes to foul trouble. But you got to give Houston a lot of credit because every time this was very much a game of runs, especially in the first half.
Definitely,
Even
sure.
in the second half, right? Houston goes up. They start with the two technical free throws are up 15. TCU cut it to 3. Right? I want to say they got it to within 5. And Houston was always able to weather the storm and never let TCU get over the hump, like you mentioned, Chris. And a big reason for that is Kingston Flemings and Emmanuel Sharp in the first half. It always seemed like they had an answer, which is what the good teams do, right? And they're always going to be able to find some type of response to runs or anything thrown at them, make it some type of adjustment, like you said, Chris, specifically when it came to how TCU was playing aggressively with their double teams, specifically with Kingston Fleming. That's a big reason why he had no turnovers in the second half.
And looking at the play-by-play, when TCU cut it to 2, Kingston Flemings hit a 3.
That was a dagger 3. That was
When
a
TCU
big
cut it to
3.
2 again, Kingston Flemings, 2 free throws. When TCU cut it to 2 again, Kingston Flemings dished to Ramon Walker for a 3, 5-point lead. Kingston Flemings had his fingerprints on this down the stretch. That's what I want to talk about.
And I'm watching it, and it's really looking a lot like how Jamal in the reference, pretty much just get it to Kingston and let him make a play.
Yes.
I mean, not that simple. I mean, they do different actions to get them the ball, whether it's for him to get downhill or isolate. It's different action with it. But in essence, it looks like it's came a lot down to the offense of similar to when Jamal was playing with us.
And Kingston found Kris in the paint. Kris dove to the rim and got 2 in a foul. Let's talk about the freshman stepping up down the stretch and helping close out this win. If the freshmen carry this team to win those 6 straight, and the underclassmen are along for the ride and chip in, fine. Whatever it takes to get the dub.
Yeah, Emmanuel, he did play well. Outside of the fouls, he played really well. I was impressed with just some of his off the bounce moves. I mean, going left, and attacking, going counter moves, and still being able to finish. I think that's going to be vital because we know how he can stretch the floor,
Yeah.
and they're going to try to run him off the 3-point line. But then Milos, I feel like he knocked down some timely ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knocked down some timely threes, and he did a good job of making plays when Kingston went on the floor. I mean, he
Yeah.
finished with
Another good
5
adjustment right
assists, but
there.
it was a good stretch when Kingston went on the floor, and Milos looked very, very comfortable out there. And so it was different nuances within the game, and I'm like, okay, I'm liking really how we're coming together. But it's just certain things they'll have to really hone in on. It's down the stretch execution and different things that what makes a coach, what makes a season. And so, but Kingston is for sure.
And it was a good balance.
Yeah.
And Dayon, I love that shirt Dayon's wearing.
Yeah.
But when Kingston had the turnovers in the first half, that was probably the poorest he's played so far this year. The turnovers, he just looked
Hmm.
out of sorts. He went to
Yeah.
the bench, coach sat him down. Milos took over and the offense flowed. That's a good balance. That was good to see. And I don't know what the line was for the game, but based on what the announcer said toward the end when that layup was missed by TCU, I think Vegas knows a thing or two as well. So it wasn't a blowout was not expected. And winning and blowing out teams on the road, when teams like TCU's trying desperately to turn things around and figure out a way to win a game at home, but still couldn't get over the hump themselves. I'll take a 9-point road win in the Big 12 any day. Yeah, I'll take a 1-point road win in the Big 12.
Real quick to add to Dayon's point about Milos and that adjustment, like you said, like both of y'all said, right? After he had thrown his fourth turnover and Kelvin Sampson subs him to the bench, a big reason for those issues was the aggressive double teaming that they were doing off of those high screens. And literally, next possession, Kingston sits down, Milos gets put in that same spot. And Milo, the biggest difference right out the gate is that he didn't pick up his dribble. He kept it alive, found the open man, and
Yeah.
made the right play. And that showed the veteran just the experience, right? And it was kind of it was able to calm down Kingston because once he came back in the game, he was much more calm and he was able to take care of the ball.
I think that's one thing that many of us cringe when Milos picks up his dribble unnecessarily. When he keeps the dribble alive, it's much better for him and the team, for the offense to continue flowing. The defense is not going to be as good so far. They took a step back these last 2 games. But when you're playing so many young guys who are not used to Houston Cougars defense and getting them extended minutes, maybe we're expecting too much from these guys like Isaiah Harwell and Kingston and Kris and Chase,
No, I think
to be lockdown defenders in 4 months.
no, I think AI Crabtree said it well because we've talked about how they put on a string of 4 games of really good defensive outings. But like AI Crabtree said, I think it's the conferences that's playing those
Yes,
few
that's what I'm
times
going.
now,
Getting
so
used to
they're
it.
able to kind of they're used to it and know the certain plays or when the shots are going to come from if they can play within that in that concept. I think it's more of that versus anything because the defense still is swarming, still looks sharp. But I mean, sometimes they just make shots. That's just part of the game.
And agreed, it's part of the game. And sometimes you play good defense, team still makes a shot. You can say congratulations, do it again. But one positive, for the most part, in the NCAA tournament is you're not going to play another Big 12 team until deep into the Final Four, Elite Eight, or whatever. So those teams that you're facing aren't used to the monster defense and the Cougars defense because they're first time seeing it. So for some of them, they'll be like, "What the hell is this?" But Big 12 teams, especially guys who are veterans, they've seen it. They're used to it to a point. They know how to make the adjustments, where to make a pass, things like that. That's also part of this. But talking to Hunter's comment here, well, one of those vets who we're expecting more from is JoJo. These last 2 games, he has not been a positive factor. When Dayon mentioned when the defense was rolling, locked in, one of the reasons for that was JoJo wasn't in foul trouble. He kept himself on the floor and was part of the defense being on a string. He's important. He has to be better. He has to keep himself on the floor and out of early foul trouble.
Funny Hat's comment is very half glass half full as well. TCU came into the game averaging 80 points a game. Cougars held them to 70 with basically without JoJo and Sacco for an overwhelming majority of the game.
And that's legit as well. it's just, I'm just being honest. Happy wife, happy life. Kudos for that. But TCU, again, I go back to it. They played well in stretches, but we also saw them down the stretch. They found ways to lose. On the other hand, Houston found ways to win. If it's as simple as Kingston did his thing, and got his teammates involved, and guys knocked down shots down the stretch, that's fine.
I think it's interesting too when you look at the rebounding battle. Houston, they won it 31-30, and that's with JoJo Tugler for the first time in his career not getting a single rebound. Emmanuel Sharp only had one rebound. Isaiah Harwell didn't have a rebound. Uh, so yeah, almost half of them came from Sanak, which again, that's kudos to him
Yeah.
and the real big game, especially down the stretch there. There was a couple of kind of like how Dayon said earlier, like he had big time rebounds. He had grown man rebounds. We had to go up there and fight for him, and he came down with them. So that was a very big positive from this game. But Kingston Flemings got into the rebounding battle. He had 5. Uzan had 4, and that was pretty much it. Ramon Walker had 2, and then Sacco and McCarty had 1 each, and so did Sharp.
I liked. Now let's another positive. Give Kris credit for learning from Saturday. We all know TCU does not have a JT Toppin. We know that, but Kris was more physical rebounding as well. He was using his strength. He was pushing guys under the basket to get rebounds. Good. That's a positive. You got to learn how to move around and move people out your way subtly to not pick up fouls and to get the rebound. So he made an adjustment. He accepted that challenge that Coach Sampson put before him today. That's great to see. Now you need JoJo to do his part. He has to start doing that on Saturday. JoJo says burn this film. Or write down 000 as motivation for himself and say never again. That should be enough for him right there. Never again. This won't happen ever again.
All right, H-Town Big Dobbs says he still thinks CNEC should be involved more on the offensive side of things. Hunter Ang. Wow, we're getting a lot of flurry of comments. Hunter put one thing he wishes he could see more is Kingston dishing it to Sanek. When the help comes on the drive, that is nasty and will open up more on the perimeter. I think not necessarily just Kingston and Sanek. I think just more pick and pops. It depends. Obviously, a lot of it depends on how the defenses, the opposing teams are guarding Houston. But I think today they had a stretch. I think it might have been in one of the dagger threes from Milo's using at the end of the game, where because they used TCU's aggressiveness against them on the pick and pop, Milo slipped and he was wide open for the 3. Again, part of it was just the way the TCU was defending Houston, but stuff like that's very easy shot for whoever's popping and slipping the screen. Like in this case, it was Milo's, but in previous games, Chris Sanak has shown not only his ability to do that, but his ability to be a knockdown, consistent 3-point shooter as well.
He had some decent looks. He had a face-up shot at the free throw line that he missed, left short. But I want to see him get more touches, and some of those he might have to get himself on the offensive glass and get putbacks, and do it that way. As long as he can get himself to the free throw line, that's a plus as well. I think he's an improving free throw shooter. Score points that way.
Yeah, I definitely want to see him give more touches. I think he was seeing a lot in that dunker spot, or in the corner in the half court set today. I think at certain times, especially when he has a smaller player, he can to try to seal and kind of demand the ball real quick and then keep it back spread. But it's really much about how the defense is guarding Kingston, how we're playing. The dictates what we're doing. But yeah, more touches for Kris, I think, would only be even better for us because it'll give us another element to score. Definitely more pick and pop, like Anderson saying, just depending on the coverage, how they guard in Kingston.
But the question, who is the question from here?
Yeah. Which one?
C. Anthony. C. Anthony
Uh-huh.
getting shout out on Big 12 radio. Heard the guys mention him in a question, I think, yesterday. But who has given the best bench minutes this season? That is one of the issues so far. It has not been
And
one
very
person
inconsistent.
consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It varies game to game. It hasn't been a consistent person, one person that folks would like to see.
I agree. It's been very inconsistent. I mean, their consistent rocks this whole year has been Kingston Flemings and Emmanuel Sharp offensively, and you've had Milos and Sinek step up here and there. We had a flurry there where JoJo was getting close to 10 points and double-digit rebounds, or at least close to double-digit rebounds for a couple stretches there. But to be outside of Sharp and Kingston, it overall production offensively wise has been very up and down.
And that's still that's an area that needs to improve, and there's still time to improve. And that's all we got. That's what we can focus on. Have to focus on this team getting better in February than they are right now, and they're playing its best basketball in March/April.
I think it's coming.
I would say to Hunter's comment too about he's right. Houston is playing a lot more 4-out, 1-in compared, which is very different from last year when you had Javier Francis and Jawan Roberts down low. And I mean that's just the reality of the situation. And this again a different team. They play stylistically different from the years past. And again, Francis and Jawan Roberts, they were experienced veteran players with grown man strength. And Kris, what was the quote that Kelvin Sampson said earlier this week about Sinek? Sinek doesn't have the man strength he has. He's still a teenager.
Yeah.
So
this team is different defensively. This team is different offensively. It's a different team. It's not last year's team. Last year's team was full of veterans. This year's team has Kingston Flemings. So they're going to win differently.
For sure. I think also, though, going back to the bench, I mean, the bench has been so inconsistent. That's probably the I wouldn't say the weakest part, but I think as we get tournament time, you probably see our starters and play 4 games as
And
it
that,
gets latter part of the season.
yeah, I think a lot of teams.
But
Not all.
no, because I take that back. Because
A
even
lot of
thinking
teams
about
shorten their
last year.
rotation come tournament time. Play 7, 8 guys.
yeah,
And most of that is because officiating is different too. They don't a lot of things go. Game is more physical. They don't call as many ticky-tack fouls and things like that. But it's up to the players to adjust to how the game is being officiated. But coach played 10 guys tonight. If you want to, Mercy got a minute. Chase got a minute. Would probably play more before he got injured.
Yeah.
But so
It'll
that'll
be
be in a 9-man
interesting.
rotation. That's pretty much what
Tournament
it does.
time.
Is 9 men.
Tournament time. There's been stretches where even Ramon Walker hasn't gotten that many minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's been Chase McCarty. Like I think the 8 obviously being the starting 5, and then it's Isaiah Harwell, Chase McCarty, and Sacco. Those are the first 3 off the bench usually, depending on the game and situation. I think if they were in the tournament scenario, that'd be the top 8. And then Ramon, if Sacco or JoJo get in foul trouble, then Ramon is the next man up.
And I'm looking at, let's see, JoJo's last 8 games. 6 rebounds, 7, 10, 11, 6, 7, 7, 0. So he's done better than I thought last 8 games, honestly. But the foul trouble, that is the issue. He has to keep himself on the floor. And when he does, he's productive.
H-Town Big Dogs has a great point, too. He says he thinks everyone is waiting for Isaiah to turn the corner.
He had started to, but like the team really overall, these last 2 games, he's taken a step back. But the cynic in me is being more positive than some of my fellow Cougars.
No, because it just feels like with him, he's been the only one truly getting the consistent minutes, along with Sacco off the bench every game, and he's been so inconsistent. Why not give other players off the bench more consistent minutes to see if they can produce at least what he can or more? But yeah, I think I know I'm still waiting for it. I know it kind of said it felt like he was when he was hit a few shots and he was getting more shots up, feeling confident. And so I'm waiting. I'm waiting too. I think it's going to be interesting down the stretch, especially if Kris that continues to rebound like he's rebounding, and we play better with more floor spacing. Because when you got JoJo and Kris in there, yes, Kris can be in the corner because he can catch and shoot. But when you have Kris in there with other guards, now you're really hesitant. You can't really have nobody just standing in the paint, and it gives Kingston and the other guards more. Because normally it'd be them two together or just JoJo with another guard, and so I'm interested to see that aspect of the game if that kind of comes up going down the conference play.
And have not seen or heard any update on Chase's injury.
I
see it now.
Joseph's tweet.
Yeah, an MRI on Thursday. McCarty's wrist locked after he made a 3-pointer in the first half.
That's via Joseph of the Houston Chronicle. So we'll see. We'll see what the results of that MRI is.
So it was wrapped in weird thing. I'm say weird, but the interesting thing is Joseph typed that McCarty's wrist locked after he made the 3-pointer. And he was in pain, so that's a strange injury. But his reaction, he was in a lot of pain. So hopefully it's nothing serious. But if he has to miss some time, then someone else will probably get those minutes, and that'll probably be Mercy Miller. And then we'll see if Mercy can shine in those minutes that he'll get.
Yeah, all you ask for is an opportunity.
Chase at the 4 spot, and Mercy move up in that rotation, and then we'll go from there. But hopefully it's not a long-term injury. We're right at the kind of borderline of injuries. You can miss a few weeks and still come back with enough time to help the team. But I trust John Houston enough that he thought Chase was good enough to go back into the game. So let's be positive about that.
Yeah, hopefully that's a sign of positive things and positive news off Chase McCarty and whatever's bothering him with his wrist. Real quickly, once again, I'd like to take this time to first thank everybody that's taking the time out of their Wednesday night as we hit 11:30 here Central Time in the middle of the week. So big thank you for you guys to tune in and discuss U of H and then their victory and over TCU and just overall hoops. It's really good to be That's what makes Let's Rage Coogs real awesome. That constant we're having conversations with people that are commenting about UH's win, which is so awesome to have that real time conversation. So big thank you to everybody that's directly commented and been a part of the show. You guys are part of Let's Rage Cruise and what makes it unique and special. And big thank you to the sponsors on today's edition of Let's Rage Coogs. Once again, Steve Saxenian, the primary sponsor, as he has been all season long. This is Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family, and big thank you to Star Pizza Houston as well. Shout out Mike and Jennifer Pittman with Star Pizza. Check them out, their social media platform, Star Pizza HOU on X, Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram. Check them out online, starpizza.net. And you can see their menu, the variety of different options, and stop by any one of the locations Tuesdays and Fridays for their all-you-can-eat pizza buffet. They have daily happy hour specials, daily specials in general, regardless of whatever part of the day that you go to. And again, tell them that you heard about them on Let's Rage Coogs.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It's late for all of us, and I still got to record a show for Thursday and go to work in the morning at 4 o'clock. But thank you to everybody. We crossed triple digits here on tonight's edition of Let's Rage Coogs. Andy, go ahead and say it. Been approved for the Big 12 tournament already, and so we're. See, Anthony, I heard you. I gave you a shout out. That's why I heard you on the show on Big 12 Radio, and I've contacted Ari with one of my suggestions, whether a suggestion about the warm up shirts that every school should wear, and he agrees, and he's going to share that with the conference as well. Folks know who we are. People at Big 12. I also shared it with somebody in the Big 12 office as well. Folks know who Let's Rage Coogs is, Dayon Dunlap, Andy Yanez, and Kris Gardner is as well. Folks know who we are. Thank you for making that happen. Salute to Andy for being approved. I'm going to fill out my credential and hopefully be approved for that as well. I already got approved for the Women's Final Four, again, for the 25th straight year. Probably not going to go this year, but still kept that streak alive as well. The Houston Round Ball Review, since 1994, the Houston Round Ball Review, local name, global perspective.
Man, another spectacular performance by Kingston Flemings. Also, another outstanding performance by Emmanuel Sharp, and a good overall, good team effort, a good road win. And never underestimate how tough it is to win on the road. I saw a comment say we should have blew them out. I don't think so. This is on the road in their house. So I like the way we fought. Some things close to clean up. And like Chris always says, Coach Sampson says, playing their best basketball as March and the months pass. I think they will do that. And I'm really liking the direction that we're headed. I'm looking forward to it, man. As always, go Cougars.